What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. Bye, singing dog. Bye, goal.
I pronounce you.
Bye, wedding ceremony.
Stop! At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Blog Talk Radio.
Well, hi. It's 6 o'clock at night, and I'm having a radio show, and no, there's no wine involved today. Hello, kids. It's me. Since Jack Corner Thursday night episode, and thank God, the very last episode of this week, and I mean that in the most loving way. I can't wait to talk to the band members from Answer Infinity, but I got to tell you, I'm a little exhausted today. We've been doing a lot of running around, and to those of you that might have been paying attention to me, you know that this weekend, it's very rare that I do an actual event, but this particular weekend, I'm doing an event with my food products. To those that know me, you already know that I make homemade chili, I make homemade chicken soup, and I also, of course, have my 3 brands of the homemade Oreo truffles, which is chocolate, mint, and peanut butter. Well, courtesy of Tim of the organization that represents the Wisconsin, let me get the actual title right. It's actually called the Wisconsin Antique and Vintage Show, and I've been invited to participate in both days, which is October 22nd and 23rd. I'll let everybody know where it's located. It's 6000 West Ryan Road. The hours this weekend are going to be Saturday from 9 to 4 and Sunday from 9 to 3. There's a $5 entry fee to get in to the door. And before I forget, I want to make a point to talk about some of the wonderful vendors that they have outside of myself. There will be a concession stand, but outside of that, I am the only other food vendor. And of course, to those of you that have been following me, you already know, of course, that I'm a huge supporter of and friend of Phil Marish, who is, of course, a band member of the Marcel's band in town, the Rhythm Kings, and more importantly, he is also waiting on a heart transplant list. So because of the fact of his outstanding medical bills, along with the fact that he needs to keep his medical insurance, we all need to kind of step things up. And of course, they have the GoFundMe page, which I keep sharing on a regular basis, but I also wanted to make sure that I keep doing events and being able to take the profits and the proceeds and give some to Phil. So of course, obviously, these next 2 days that I'm going to be working, obviously, I'm going to take a percentage of that and give it to Phil. Phil Marish, M-A-R-I-C-H. I'll be sharing the GoFundMe account. But, of course, like I said, everybody come on down and support him, support me, because I, of course, am helping to support him as well. I want to talk about some of the specific vendors that will be there since we have a little bit of time as of yet. The Vintage Glass Garden. I'll give you their website, which is thevintageglassgarden.com. Obviously, it's exactly as it speaks, which is vintage items of all kind relative glass items, I would suspect. I haven't been able to take a perusal of the entire website, so don't quote me. But again, if you visit thevintageglassgarden.com, you'll be able to check out all their items. Uncle Ned's Consignment, Liquidation, and Estate Sales will be there. You can locate them. Obviously, of course, it is what it is. Again, once again, a consignment and liquidation company. And this is how every single word is a dash. So you're going to have for Facebook, if you look them up, it's Uncle's dash, and then Ned's dash, consignment dash, liquidation dash, estate dash, sales dash, LLC. Go ahead and check out all the various different things they do with their company. We have a vendor called 3 Wren Street, and they are bringing to the show all sorts of vintage home decor, both industrial and rustic in nature. Their Facebook page is the number 3, and then Wren like the bird, W-R-E-N, and then Street, all one word. Next, we have Paul Little Design and Steampunk, which of course provides both leather and steampunk products. They can be found on Facebook, and their name is Steampunk Paul. Next, we have Marcia's Second Time Around, which is, of course, their main business is buying and selling of used furniture. If you want to see what they do and what they offer, their website is Marcia's, and that's M-A-R-C-I-A-S, usedfurniture.com. And then lastly, we have Gracie's Cottage, and of course, they offer a variety of quilts, camp and wool blankets, if I could talk today, and other farmhouse primitives. They can be found on Facebook. This is also their last year at the show, and it's Gracie is spelled Gracie is G-R-A-C-I-E-S, and then Cottage Page, and that's on Facebook. Again, just to reiterate, the Wisconsin Antique and Vintage Show is what it's called, being held October 22nd and 23rd. The address is 6000 West Ryan Road. Saturday from 9 to 4, Sunday from 9 to 3, and, of course, there is a $5 entry fee. And as I understand it, of course, they'll be having their special television show guests, and they're going to be doing appraisals all weekend, lots of vintage and antique stuff. So definitely make the trip out to Franklin. It's not that far. It only happens 2 times a year. So we definitely want to support them in their endeavors, as well as, of course, come to support little old me and Phil, of course. So I wanted to throw that right out of the bat here. And so now we're all set with that. Now, to talk about Answer Infinity. Answer Infinity is one of the very first bands that I'm having on the show of the heavy metal nature. I've interviewed musicians of almost every kind, except for the heavy metal type, surprisingly. So this is the very first time. Thank you so much. I want to start right off the bat. Bridget O'Brien of Bridget O'Brien PR and Events. She helped to orchestrate this. This is one of her personal clients. I think I've said about 800 times that everybody that Bridget brings to me on the show is absolutely amazing. So I can never complain about this. I'm sure it'll be an interesting interview. As I understand it, we're going to have all the band members on all at the same time. So I'm not sure if they're each calling in individually or if they're calling in as a group. They are based out of New Jersey. Obviously, she deals usually between New York and New Jersey, different clients. What I think is interesting about them is one of the neat things is that they have actually done a cover song, one of the cover songs that Elton John did, which is Rocket Man, and I've listened to it. It's a very interesting version, actually. If we get time, we'll be able to get a chance to play 2 songs, not just the one. Rocket Man is one of them that I picked. So we get an opportunity to listen to that. They're a really neat band with a really neat concept. I like their energy. I like the fact that they are very, very humorous. I've read their Facebook page and done a bunch of creeping on them. So I think that they're very amusing, to tell you the truth. So I think it'll be interesting to have them all on there. And they're not your average heavy metal band, from what I understand, not just by listening to it, but the research that I've done and such. And like I said, it all comes back to I deal with some absolutely wonderful publicists who give me some of the best clients that there are out there. So I'm really excited to have them on the show. So hopefully they'll be on here anytime now. So in the meantime, I guess I'll be filling up some more air. Let's talk a little bit about my 2 other ventures. Wanted to remind everybody, in case you haven't gone to my calendar page, as you know, that's coming up before Christmas. It's entitled Sin's Calendar of Creatives. The purpose of the calendar, of course, is to expose the world to various different art forms. And by that I mean, we all know I'm a huge supporter of independent film, independent books, also musicians. This time around, I think it's a culmination of both the independent films that I've done reviews for, books that I've done reviews for, fashion design that's in there. We're also going to try to culminate with a bunch of musicians on there. So I'm excited. I'm very excited to be able to show the world new talent. What's interesting about independent film, for those of you that don't follow it, is the fact that you have a culmination of just tons and tons of people. And what I like about it is they take a dream, they start out with basically nothing, they go ahead and they design, and they go ahead and they find a way to make their product a reality. And sometimes that means out of their own pocket, sometimes that means working with a cumulative group of people, meaning like minds, like creatives, etc. So to me, it's very interesting. It's an interesting dynamic that they go ahead and they do what they do. I mean, I find it fascinating. I know myself personally, this coming year I'm going to be doing a film. I'm very, very nervous about the fact that I have to not only come up with a budget, I have to come up with the right actors, I have to come up with the right environment in terms of where you shoot. Is it going to be successful? Is anyone going to be interested in it? Are they going to care? You know what I mean? Because I've been known as a radio show host for a long time. I've also been known as a journalist for a long time. However, it doesn't necessarily mean everybody's going to walk into a theater and watch my production. You know what I'm saying? So we'll have to see about that. So go ahead and check Facebook, like the page. That's Sin, CIN''S, Calendar of Creative. Looks like we got lucky, and I think they finally have called into us. Let's see if we can get them on the line. Just one second. Hello?
Hello. Sorry about that. I kept trying to call and getting that your phone number was not in service, so my
it's
band
weird. It's weird. Yeah, it's unusual because sometimes when people call in, they're like, "What's going on? What's going on?" And then sometimes I try to call in and I can't call into my own show. So I actually got able to call in today and talk to everybody while you weren't here. So hi, hello.
Hi. This is Mark.
Okay.
By the way, I'm the guitar player. Everybody's here.
You're the lead.
Our singer got ready too.
Okay, so let me see if I have this right. So there's Mark, there's AJ, there's Daniel, there's Jason, and Justin. Do I have all 5 of you, or am I missing somebody?
Daniel's not correct. Daniel was the previous vocalist. Alicia is the current vocalist.
Gotcha. Thank you for correcting me. But I have all 5 of you nonetheless. Yay!
You do.
Hi, everybody. This is awesome. Okay, so I'm going to have a bunch of different questions for you. I'm probably going to be very different than your average interview because I like to kind of dump around all over the place, and I like to learn things about you. And I like the fact that you guys have a drum cat. I think that is totally awesome. I was creeping on your page, and I happened to come across this really cool picture. Is it somebody's cat? Because it was the coolest picture. It was a drum cat.
It's my cat.
It's
That's
awesome.
Justin, the drummer.
Absolutely awesome. That's really cool. I think that's amazing.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah. So we got him in the
It's very
band
cool.
pub, wanders around trying to get bacon wherever he can.
I gotcha. Okay. So now here's how we'll do this because you guys are all on one phone call. I guess you guys can collectively decide who wants to answer what, obviously, because, of course, if you all try to answer me once, then nobody will be able to hear anything, obviously. So we'll kind of start off with some of the basic stuff. I think it's important to address every single musician in the group because you all contribute. Without all of you, there wouldn't be a band to begin with, clearly, and you would not be able to make this work without all of you. So what I'd like you to do is just basically take turns. I think it's most important for people to discover, A, are you self-made or have you been musically taught, meaning have you had instruction? And then most importantly, to me, why this genre and why this band, why you participated and why you picked this genre to participate in. Make sense?
Yeah, good. You start off, Justin.
Okay.
You don't want to start? All right. This is Mark. I'm a lead guitar player. I'm always the one that seems to want to talk, so I'll start.
That's okay.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. I'm for the most part self-taught. I did study music theory in college on a keyboard, but I never studied guitar formally. And as far as this genre of music, I really like every genre of music, but from the standpoint of what I listen to most frequently and what I get the most energy from playing, this is definitely the best fit for me, and this particular band gives me a lot of room to stretch out and explore different musical avenues, so I enjoy it for that. What about you, AJ?
Okay.
Redwood to R, I am 100% self-taught. I know nothing about music at all whatsoever.
Lovely answer. That was really good.
AJ's like, the purple chord, you know that one. We're going to play the purple one here.
How well does that work out for you? You just kind of wing the entire thing from start to finish. And I'm guessing that probably does well for you, doesn't it?
It works pretty good. I mean, I can follow along for most part, but it's easier when, I write the songs because then everybody has to listen to me.
True. What about you, Jason?
Okay. Thank you for that insight. Moving right along to the next participant.
Jason, bass.
I never took lessons on the bass, but I did.
Okay.
I did take lessons when I was younger on other instruments, and then in high school, a couple of the only really other rock fans that I knew said, "Hey, we're forming a band, and you're the only one we know that likes this stuff. So do you want to play?" So I had to pick up the only have. But
I gotcha.
Even when I started playing bass, just there were influences that I had that made me really want to play the instrument, and I've been playing it for a long time. And this style of music it becomes your life. It changes your life. Like Mark said, nothing gives you the energy that this does, and life is pretty much incomplete if you don't have rock music flowing through you. So
that was so well put. Thank you. And of course, Jason is. Now, I just wanted to ask real quickly. Now, Jason's the guy with the longest hair, right? Am I getting that right?
Yeah.
He's the guy with the big. You've got the most hair. Okay, got it. That was an important detail. Okay, thank you. Okay. Just saying.
I'm Justin.
Okay. Justin.
I was my dad's a drummer, so I started playing when I was like 3 years old. So
wow.
I taught myself. I taught myself until I was around 10, just by listening to CDs and stuff and just playing along, things like that. Then I started taking school band. I was in middle school and high school, and I did marching band, jazz band, concert band, like any band you could do. I just
nice.
Good. I'm gonna learn how to do it. So, and I did that through college. I was in a bunch of rock bands like growing up and stuff like that. But this band I like a lot just because type of music it is. I get to use a lot of my creativity. Like I get to use stuff that I usually don't get to use in other styles of music that I might have to play for other stuff. So it makes me better too because I kind of push myself a lot to do some crazier things.
You're up, singer.
I'm Lisa. I'm the singer. I was entirely self-taught for the beginning of my life, and then taught myself how to play guitar, and then decided I want to go to Berklee College of Music in Boston. Played a song that I didn't know any of the chords for or what the names of any of them were, and got into the scholarship. Then failed out after 2 years because I didn't know any music theory, and decided that the best thing I wanted to do was join a band. Did the whole pop punk tour thing for a little while. Then just met these guys recently and found their style, something that I had been missing and something that could expand my music ability and stretch my brain, and miss live shows too much to stop.
Okay. Now, Alicia, I have to ask you this question. I'm sure you could see this one coming. So what's it like to work with all these men?
I've only been in bands with all men.
Really?
I would never in a million years want to be stuck in a room with a bunch of females who wanted to come along with ideas.
Wow.
Throw them together. I find that men are easier to listen to what other people have to say.
Gotcha. No, I get it.
Then I can be the only asshole in the group.
Oh, that was well put. I like that, actually. Oh, my God. Okay. Now, I have to ask this question, and forgive my ignorance if I'm incorrect, but as I understand it, Mark is also a musical teacher. So do any of you instruct at all? Any of you take on private lessons, things like that? Do that, or is Mark the only one?
No, I teach drums. I've been teaching drums since I was 17.
Nice.
Yeah, it was real random. My teacher, in the summertime he couldn't do it in the summer because he would have a lot of session gigs and stuff. So he would usually teach on Friday night. So in the summertime he'd always have gigs on Friday night. So he wouldn't teach in the summertime. So I was his best student. So he asked me if I wanted to just make a little extra money just teaching drum lessons to his students in the summertime. And I was like,
nice.
Sure, that's cool. So I just started there, and then from that point, after I got out of college, I worked at Guitar Center for a while. So and people would always come in, they need drum teachers and stuff like that. So I would always offer to teach. So I did that for a while, and I still do it today. So.
Very nice. Okay. Anybody?
Yep.
Okay. Nobody else? Just the two of you then?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it would be scary if I tried to get somebody I'd like to watch that.
Okay. So I have to ask some of the more obligatory questions. Well, when I say obligatory, I mean I think they're obligatory, so we're going to throw them out there. Now, what's your average span? I'm guessing that you guys are a younger band, meaning age-wise you guys are younger, or no?
No. No.
I'm
old.
just asking. Define old. This ought to be good.
Yeah, I'm 47. I've been playing the Jersey, New York scene and out in California for a while, too, since 1987.
Nice.
So
okay.
I've been around a while. Alicia, you're the youngest, right? How old are you? 47. Okay, so from 27 to 47, that's the band range.
Nice. I like that. And I kind of suspected that. And I think that that's an important thing to mention because I interview a lot of bands and such. And I often notice that it's either one way or the other, meaning that they're all in their 40s or in their 30s or whatever. This is a nice range. I like the fact that you've picked a younger singer and then you've got people that are, been in the game more and things like that. Now, I have.
Sorry. I just said it's made for a neat amalgam of sounds because we have different influences and we grew up on different music, and when we bring it all together, it's a neat mix.
I like it. And now that's Mark talking to me, right? It's hard to tell because there's different voices, so I'm trying to figure out who's who. Yep. Got it. Mark, you have a nice voice. You should do radio. That's what they always tell me. Oh, you have such a nice voice. I'm like, I know I do radio already, but you should do radio. I know that you're already doing your little band thing, but you should probably do radio. You have that voice for it. Sorry, just had to throw that out there. It's true. You have a nice voice. I was going to say it.
He doesn't get that compliment very often.
Well, I'm complimenting you. There you go. A radio show host has now told you should do what I do. There you go. You could probably take over my job, but then Bridget will get pissed off. She'll be like, what are you doing? Now you can't interview my clients. Kidding.
I'm just
Love
walk
you,
around
Bridget.
for the next 6 months, but I have a nice voice.
Okay, so I have to ask this question, Neil, because people look at my site all the time. They look at the show page, and then, of course, they look at who I'm going to be interviewing, and I put up your website and put up your Facebook page, and they're looking at you, and I'm sure that there's at least 4, 10, 12 people that are asking themselves, okay, they're in a band, and, of course, you know women love to date guys in a band, so I have to ask the obligatory single, taken, difficult, what's the status? Dating status of the band.
Well, the guy with the voice is single and like terminally single, so I like it.
That was well put.
You guys yourselves, but yeah, go ahead, John.
Yeah, I'm currently single.
He's
Okay.
looking. So.
Okay. I got you. So we have a live fish here, do we? We have one that's looking. Okay, go on.
AJ single.
I like how you just volunteered.
Yeah.
Put the drum up, man. Lessons, girls.
Oh my God. Okay, go on.
Jason's not going to answer the question. He's pleading the fifth. He looks really
Oh,
embarrassed
that's not
right now.
surprising. Really? Well, I know what you guys all look like, so I'm like, I have seen you. I've looked at you, so I know that you're an attractive-looking bunch. I'm not going to lie about that. But I don't typically have unattractive people on my show, so I mean, you're on, so you're obviously decent. Oh my God! It's 6 o'clock at night. Yeah, I should have brought the wine out. I'm kidding. Okay, so that's always important to know. Now,
are you single? I don't know. She's very single.
Me? Oh, Alicia's single too? Well,
Yeah.
Alicia's 27, right? That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it does make sense. She is 27 years old. So at 27, you should be single. That's just my little 5-second. What the hell do I know? I'm not an advice phone. Single seems to be going around.
Yeah.
Well, and plus I imagine, too, I'm just going to ask this because, of course, I have absolutely zero musical talent whatsoever. I mean, everything I do is with my hand. I'm a writer or, radio, whatever. So I have no musical ability. So I have to ask those that have the musical ability, how difficult do you feel it is to maintain, relationship-wise, because you're so dedicated with your music, because that's the appearance that I get. I haven't had the pleasure of being able to watch you perform. But I get the sense that you have a true dedication to what it is that you do, in which case, how hard is it to balance and juggle? Do you have side jobs? I mean, is this your primary job? And if so, how hard is it to try to maintain a proper balance across the board? Or is it better that you just simplify things and, yes, I'm single and there's this? Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm bogarting and I always answer first, but I work in commercial real estate in daytime, and the band's like another job on top of that. So yeah, I've often said that it would be unfair to get in a serious relationship with somebody because I couldn't give them the time that's warranted in a relationship. So yeah, to answer your question, yes.
Yeah, I've experienced with it. I left my corporate job like in the beginning of the year, so I've been just doing basically music for a living for the past 6-7 months. And it's cool, it's fun and everything, but it's really hard to get really have consistent pay all the time. So picking up like a side job is kind of key to keep doing the music thing. And with the band, I mean, like since I have a lot more free time, like I have a lot more time to practice and do things towards the band. So, but when I did have a corporate job, it was you had to make a decision to I'm going to spend like multiple free hours that I have like on music, like show yourself to you. It's really tiring,
right?
Especially when you have a girlfriend on top of it. So yeah, I ran that for 2 years doing that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's like you have a choice: be a shitty boyfriend or don't do this.
Yeah. And you do one thing wrong. I mean, it's shitty at my job, doing shitty at music, or my girlfriend is pissed off. So, and I'm tired as fuck. So.
Oh my God. Well, and plus too, because I get to interview musicians all the time, I go to all these different venues and I see all these different people playing. And I'm not gonna lie to you, sometimes you got like 50 women hanging all over one of these guys, and I'm like, oh my God, that's got to be awful to be dating somebody, and like women are like basically tearing their clothes off to get this guy's attention. You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm sure that never happens at your show, does it? Does it?
Nah,
it doesn't, right? Well,
me from having played out in the late 80s when it was a completely different scene and we all had giant hair and dressed like idiots, but it was much more of that kind of, like, the groupie situation was a thing back then. When I got back into music after a break and started doing this band, it's a completely different scene than it was back then. It's much more mellow.
Nice. I like to hear that, actually. That was going to be my next question, to tell you the truth, to piggyback it, which is, I don't care who talks about it, but I think it is important to talk about this because your genre has evolved and changed just as, jazz, I think, just as pop rock has, just like we see country singers that are transitioning to more country rock versus just straight country. So talk to me in your experience and your influences. Tell me a bit about musical influence in terms of you, even though you might play heavy metal, you may not necessarily most strongly be influenced by heavy metal. Maybe you do. And then secondarily, talk to me a little bit about the scene nowadays. Are you more impressed or more depressed to say, looking at some of the new heavy metal bands? Is it all kind of flash and show? I hear that a lot from musicians and saying it's all about the presentation and less about the music. But heavy metal might be different. And talk to me about that if you would.
Yeah. You want me to answer again? Go ahead. Somebody else answer.
The scene around here is kind of small, so you get to know the bands pretty well. So that part of it is cool, but there's not a lot of people going out on a random Tuesday to watch music. So that part of it's kind of sad. Mm-hmm. But,
right.
I mean, the venues themselves that are around here don't, it's just not catered that way. I remember when I was in high school and, it was the late 90s, early 2000s or whatever, and I'd be when my old band, we would, pack out, a VFW full of kids, 400 or 500 kids, just rocking out, going crazy. That was more of the stuff that you were talking about before, with the girls and things like that, but, nowadays, it's halfway possible. On my last band, we went on tour on the East Coast, and even just around here, around here, there's so much other things to do, that, people just don't go to shows. But if you go down south a little bit or, Midwest, there's less to do, so people, and more bars just have live music and want to have live music. So they, at those shows, they were fun because there would be 100, 200 people there just there to see music, Here, it's unless a band there has a giant following or it's, for a record release party or, an event, people don't really want to come.
Yeah, we knew going into this is marketing. If we wanted to play really large crowds, we're going to have to go overseas where rock music still has a big following. And for me, what you were saying about the flash versus the substance of the music, I felt that was much more the case in the 80s and 90s, early 90s, than it is coming back into it now. So I had a kind of a break in between. And I was pleasantly surprised getting back involved again because I was always more about the music than the presentation. Pleasantly surprised that the music was way more important to people at this time and in hard rock at this day and age than it was the first time I was playing. I think the level of musicianship is generally better, and people aren't out there just trying to show how great their hair is.
And between the bands, there's no friction between bands.
Yeah, there used to be a lot of ego. Yeah, guys were kind of fighting with each other. Now instead, the guys are helping each other.
Nice. Now that's nice to hear, actually, because I spend time in New York City. I'm from Wisconsin, so of course I spend time here. So a lot of my friends are local musicians, and oftentimes one of the biggest frustrations they find is not enough venues, not getting paid well enough, etc. So I'm just curious what the market's like. I've only had one other. I think Matt Cooligan is the only other Jersey boy that I've had on the show relative to music. So I am curious. Are you all kind of scratching at the bit, so to speak, to try to get those places there?
We know Matt, actually.
we know Matt. I'm Matt's drummer, for when we do duet gigs and stuff like that. I grew up.
Oh my God! How cool! That's awesome!
Yeah.
Isn't he wonderful? He is so wonderful.
Yeah, Matt's a good guy.
And he's been on my show. Friend of the show. So we absolutely love Matt, and I wish that we could clone Matt, actually. If you could clone a single Matt, I'd be happy. I would date a single Matt. I think he's wonderful. But he's not single, so we can't date him. Anyway, so yeah.
I know it's life.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and
sorry. I was going to say, if you're playing in any major metropolitan area in the United States, there's too many other entertainment options, and people just don't turn out for live music like they used to.
Right. I agree. Definitely. And, of course, the question becomes is, do you feel – I've seen a decline, at least in the – I mean, some of my dear friends are in heavy metal bands here in town, and I've seen a decline of people participating due to that. I just don't know that this type of music is as popular anymore. So, again, is it alive and well in New York and New Jersey, I hope? Or are you going to tell me, no, it's been a decline?
Yeah. As a in '89, as a band with a small little record deal and only local airplay, we would play to rooms of 1,000 people. Now, with probably more marketing and more exposure for our record, and having even reached the chart levels in college, we're still only playing to 100 or less people.
Mainstream, like, play rock later, so like kids growing up, like they don't even like they weren't growing up like we grew up. Like I grew up listening to like Aerosmith and Green Day, Nirvana and Pearl Jam, and Metallica and Slayer and like things like that. And that stuff was on the radio too. But now, like if you want to hear rock, like you have to go to satellite radio or like look for it on your own.
Yeah, that's true.
No, well, and the other thing is, too, now, for instance, like, I'll throw this name out there. I'm sure you've heard of Rob Zombie before. I worked an event, and I was covering press for some kind of rock invasion or something like that, and I'd never heard him play live before. And I'm not so sure he falls along the heavy metal line, I guess to some degree, maybe. Anyways, I have to tell you that he was an amazing live performer. I think that oftentimes heavy metal is confused with I think it's confused with the hair banging versus talent, meaning you get away from the talent when you start looking at the image, the hair, the supposed loud music, etc. And I think people don't take enough time to actually pay attention to the music being made because it's all about that stigma and that stereotype. With Rob Zombie, it was great.
He couldn't get into his own like a venue. Like the security thought he was like a bum just the way he's all dirty and dressed. And like they literally like I'm Rob. He's like, you gotta get out of here. And Rob Zombie's like, I'm playing here tonight. Like, and it wasn't like a little small venue. It was like some arena. And like the guy, we had to like get like his manager to like tell security. Like, those security guards got fired, by the way. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, there's a subgenre, if you could call it that, for the harder rock that you have bands in like Periphery or Tesseract. It's kind of like a prog, I guess you could call it prog heavy metal. And that's kind of getting a decent amount of attention. We're seeing more people show up to that kind of music, and it's had an influence on us. On this record that we're working on now with Alicia, we're kind of, I don't want to say we're headed in that direction because it's not a direction, but it's an influence that's kind of seeded its way into the music. The new arrangements as compared to the EP are a fair amount more complex and with more, I guess, musicianship, for lack of a better term, involved.
All right. Now, here's one step further in terms of question, and I'm not quite sure who wants to address this, but I guess I was intrigued about this. One of the things that you guys had done was a cover of Rocket Man, and I listened to it, and I thought to myself, I'm curious. That's an excellent song, by the way. Excellent choice to make. So what made you choose it, and how close did you want it to be to the original version, or did you want it to be specifically as different and out of the norm and more jazzy than the original version?
Yeah, we chose it because we had to get ready for a gig, and our singer didn't know all of our songs and said, hey, can we do this cover?
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
But to answer your question about, that's it really happened.
Yeah, our previous singer, he's in another band, and he was just kind of helping us out and filling in. And, Alicia's she's kind of the first singer that's really going to be here full time, that's part of this project 100%. So we had some difficulty before always getting material ready because we were working with people that had other projects going on.
But to go back to answer your question about making the song different, we definitely wrote that so that it could stand on its own, so that it would have its own sound, our own sound to it.
Okay. Well, since of course I am talking. Right. Well, I'm going to allow you a second to just take a breath because I'd like to. There's two different songs I want to play, and Rocket Man, of course, your version of it is the one that I want to play first, just because I want the listening audience to kind of get a sense. I mean, it's wonderful to have you all on and talk about you, but the reality is you're your music, so to speak. So obviously I think that should speak for itself. So I'm going to give you a 4-minute break and tell everybody to be quiet in the nicest way I can, and I'm going to play your version of Rocket Man.
Cool, thanks.
She packed my bags last night. 0 hour, 9 a.m. I'm gonna be high, kite flying. I miss the earth so much, I miss my wife. Lonely out in space.
They're a pretty cool band, hey? You think? I'm just saying. I like it. I like the version. I like the playing. I like the way that it sounds. It makes me want to put a lighter up in the air and be like, yeah! When I was in the 80s, and now I'm 47, and I'm not in the 80s anymore. That's okay.
That's right.
That's right. Wanted to share that a little bit. Okay, so of course I want to reiterate to people that, of course, you are a New Jersey band. The band was formulated back in 2010. Is that correct? So that means you've been together for a whopping 6 years total?
That's me and AJ
okay,
at that
good.
point.
Now, I want you to talk a little bit about this subject because this is something I don't get to approach very much, and I keep telling myself I'm gonna, so you're going to help me with this. Oftentimes when I have listeners that are listening to my show, good, Cindy, it's been a long day. People that listen to my show oftentimes are emerging artists, musicians, etc. And so I want you, because you have been together for a period of about 6 years or so, I want you to talk a little bit about the upside and the downside of having a family of sorts, if you will. I don't think people understand when they look into getting into music. It isn't just playing together. It's practicing together. It is formulating gigs, events, marketing, all that good stuff. And most importantly, I think chemistry is amazingly important. Don't you all have to get along? I want you to tell people what it's like and some of the sacrifices that go into it.
Yeah, I have often said being in a band is like being married. You have so much to deal with that you really do have to get along with each other. And this band is a really unique band in that we all get along really, really well and have the entire time. We actually live together in the same house, all of us except for the singer.
Oh my gosh! But, really?
So far, everybody does. So. But yeah, we opened the door at 3 a.m. Yeah, we three of us, me and AJ and Justin lived together. Had been living together for a while, and then we got a house back around Memorial Day. And then Jason, the bass player, came in, so now all the band minus the singers in one place, and we were able to get along, strangling each other. So yeah, it's really important.
I was just going to say that connection is well, and that would explain why you're not dating, because that's got to be different. We're all living together and we're in a band. Come on over and visit, honey. No.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I get it.
It's kind of fun when I meet someone new and they're like, "So where do you live?" I'm like, "With my band." They're like, "Man, you're 47." I'm like, "Yeah, well, I have
Did you grow up yet? No, I could see where that happens.
I grew up and raised a kid, and then I went back to being a kid myself. I got my job done with.
There's nothing wrong with being adolescent. Thank you very much. I think with you musicians, a lot of times it helps because let me tell you, some of you people are just overgrown children, and I mean that in the most loving way. It's true. I mean, I think you're a bunch of silly brats sometimes. Some more bratty than others, of course. I want to talk a little bit about, and again, in your experience, I like to pick brains because, like I said, I'm not musically talented whatsoever. So I think what I want to ask about is you have your first EP that's coming, which is Never Going Back Again. Every band has their own, what do I want to call it? At least this is what I've heard from experience, is that there's a process involved. Like somebody picks to write, somebody picks to do this or this. Talk to me a little bit about the process of putting together your very first EP. Also tell me how long it took you approximately, and what do you feel is the most unique part of this EP? Tell me the reason why people should go running out to purchase it the minute it comes out.
Well, the EP is already out. That's the one you're talking about. There has been out for a bit. We're in the process of working on the first full length. Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's it. That's what I mean.
Yeah, the EP took forever. So we went through two band member changes in the course of making it because what happened is it was a project that was just AJ and I at first. We discovered we could kind of write music together, and the songs on that first EP are stuff that he and I put together, and then we brought people in to play with us without really thinking about where it was going. And as it became more and more serious, the other people that were around us it's too much of a commitment for someone who's just kind of doing it as a hobby. So that's how this band that we have now is kind of evolved. Now we have all the people that are serious and involved in the band, and this record that we're working on, the full-length record, I guess we've been working on it for the better part of a year now, writing and working with our producer, a guy by the name of Brett Romney's, working on the arrangements and doing what's called pre-production. So it's kind of like demoing your own songs before you go in and do the actual recording.
Now, and forgive me. Yeah, well, I believe that it did, yes. Okay, so you had Never Going Back Again was first, and the upcoming album is Seeing Clear. Is that correct? Just so I understand this.
That's the working title. It may or may not be the title when we finally are ready.
Oh, okay, got it. So you don't have it confirmed and all that good jazz yet, which is perfectly fine, obviously. You've been described as being a band of metal with jazz fusion influences. Explain what that means to me, because I'm an idiot. So I'm like, I kind of get what that means. Because it's kind of an oxymoron to a writer. It's like, what? Metal is this, jazz is this. And I'm like, huh? So just explain it to us listening audience members that aren't getting it.
Sure. Well, from a sound perspective, no one's going to say, "Oh, wow, I hear jazz in there." It's more that Justin, the drummer, and I both listen to and play quite a bit of jazz music. In fact, a lot of the guitar lead stuff that I do is influenced in pieces that I've learned by playing sax parts on the guitar. And I know you're drumming. Justin's not approaching this like a metal drummer. He plays like a jazz drummer.
I don't like. I'm actually. Like if you ask me, like I'm not. I feel like I'm not a good metal drummer. Like in terms of like just I don't know, straight ahead metal type of stuff.
And obviously on the EP it was a different drummer, so you don't hear that. That guy was more of a metal drummer. When this album comes out, you're gonna hear a lot.
So like I approach it so like I like a lot of syncopations. Like jazz is it's almost more of a feel than like something you can like put down on paper as to what the difference is between it. It's just So it's all syncopated. It's a lot more triplet bass and things like that. So when I approach my drums, I approach it from more like a funk rock, like jazz kind of standpoint, and just I listen to the music first, and then kind of build the rhythm around it. And I don't know, I've been doing it a really long time. Like I studied jazz like growing up, like in high school. I did jazz band in college. I did jazz band in high school. My teacher, like my private teacher, taught me jazz. Really liked jazz drumming. So a lot of the times I'll do it without even really thinking about it. It's just the way I play at this point. But when you put it to, one thing about this band that's cool is like we all approach music differently. So like approaching a metal song and putting like more jazzy stuff in it, some people might not even try it if they don't think it goes well. But if it sounds good, that's all that really matters. It just needs to sound good. So I've done it in a lot of my bands. So I just have, just experience doing it. How I write.
Right. Well, and of course, too, I think that's something that will clearly set you apart from any other band, because I am unfamiliar, at least in my knowledge base, of another metal band doing something like that. And I think it's a very innovative idea, to tell you the truth, because I do believe that jazz is one of our top 5. I mean, literally, when it comes down to most people and what they enjoy, a jazzy sound has always been a favorite, so to speak. So I think this might very well stand you apart amongst others. I was curious to ask, I've seen you guys play a number of different venues. So I have been to Bullshooter's Saloon in Philly before. So I was just curious if you ever rescheduled there, because that's a really kick-ass place.
No, we haven't done that. Actually, we haven't done Philly at all.
The promoter actually never got back to us. He had to reschedule the show that we were, and said that he was going to get back to us with a different event, and never wrote back to us. I followed up once or twice, and then I didn't follow up after that, but it didn't end up happening. Maybe after the album.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're going to be playing like early part of next year, because we're just getting done with the pre-production, and we got to record, and then we'll start playing out live again.
We have one show this year, New Year's Eve at Stanford.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So that's our one show for like the rest of the year, probably. And then next year we'll play.
I understand. Okay. I just wanted to ask about that, because I know I had scrolled down and I saw that, and I was like, okay, wonderful. We'll look at that. All right. Speaking of gigs, I have to mention this because you have an upcoming gig on November 23rd this year at 7 o'clock, and that's at Webster Hall. So I would like you to talk to people, especially those that are in New York and New Jersey area that can attend. Talk to me a little bit about how you ended up participating with Webster Hall and what they can expect from that event that evening.
We're not playing Webster Hall. We had a gig at Webster Hall. Is that last year? I'm not sure. We don't. Yeah, I'm not sure where we got that info from. Yeah. We don't have a gig there. I mean, it was a great show.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I have had amazing shows for 2 months solid, and I've been doing so wonderfully. And you guys come on my show, and you're breaking my record now. Come on.
You ruined it. Green.
Well.
Yeah, the only gig we have is the New Year's Eve one.
Yeah, Phantom House on New Year's Eve is our show, our next show.
Okay, talk to me about the New Year's Eve show, because little journalism girl here apparently thought you were going to Webster Hall in November, and I guess you're not, but I have Webster Hall in the brain.
If you want to Webster Hall, you can. We love that place.
I have to say, because I'm all about shameless promotion on my show, Gerard McNamee is a friend of my show. He's a friend of mine. He's going to be in my calendar, and I adore him more than life itself. Love him. And so he's a big guy over there, at Webster Hall, and I just think he's wonderful. And if it wasn't for Bridget, I would have never met him. So thank you again, Bridget, for the 87th time. Webster
Feel
Hall's
free
amazing.
to
absolutely amazing.
We'll play there anytime.
Well, yeah, I'd have to get 5 minutes with Gerard. That's difficult. His schedule and my schedule are always it's just very challenging to try to get time. But I do talk to him. I talk to Bridget all the time, too. Or maybe Bridget and I could talk to Gerard about this. Did you hear that, Bridget? I gave you another commitment. Don't listen to that. Don't put that on we'll put that on next week's docket. So talk to me about New Year's Eve and where to find you and what you're doing, et cetera, et cetera.
We're putting New Year's Eve at a place called the Stanhope House, Stanhope, New Jersey.
Okay.
I don't know our set time yet. You guys know? I don't think they've released it yet. Yeah, I think there's going to be 4 or 5 bands on the ticket, and they haven't really organized the sets this early, but it's going to be a good night. We're going to be there. Yeah, drinking. Yeah, well, AJ will be drinking, not me. We'll be at the bar. Me and AJ will be at the bar.
Gotcha.
Our singer and AJ are going to have a drinking contest. It should be fun because he's like 4 times your size. We're going to see if he can keep up.
Oh, my Lord. This is one of the only bands I've ever heard of that's having a drinking contest. How cool is that? I did not just say that. I probably shouldn't have said that on here. Who cares? I just had wine last night. I mean, like, hello. I mean, you're going to go out on New Year's Eve and not drink. I guess some people do, but I'm like, okay, fine. All right, well, good. So that takes care of our little New Year's Eve stint. I can't believe I screwed. Oh, man, I'm going to be kicking myself all night long. I'm such a good journalist. I just reported something that's false. But to make up for it, Bridget is going to talk to Gerard. We'll double team.
Right. You report on politics, if you're wrong 9 times out of 10, you're doing it right.
Well, I try really hard, and it's been a really rough week. So, I mean, in all fairness to me, I mean, I did show up on time, and I did have the show, and I do know a lot of things about you. Like, for instance, we forgot to ask Alicia about America's Got Talent. Got to talk about that. That's kudos, awesome. I've never been on America's Got Talent, never going to be on there. So talk to me about that experience and talk to our listening audience. I have a very specific question about this. I want to know, as an individual who's participated in this.
Wait. What were you saying? It was American Idol, not America's Got Talent.
Oh, my God.
You're having a great night.
I may as well put a want ad out. Wanted, new job. Apparently, I'm failing at the one that I have today. I'm not going to lie. I thought I was given that information that it was America's Got Talent. Perhaps I just misunderstood. Okay, but the same rule applies in the same question.
You should just join the band. You got an awesome show. And
I'm totally gonna stop writing as of tomorrow. Oh my God, this is ridiculous. I never do this. I'm telling you. Listen to any of my other shows. They'll tell you. I know what I'm doing. Anyways, this is my specific question. Obviously, I'd like you to talk about the experience because most of us don't get an opportunity to participate in any of that sort of thing. And then second of all, even though you're a bit younger, you're versed enough to be able to give us some insight on this. There are some people on one side of the fence that think that talent like that, meaning shows, programs, things like that, where you're offered opportunities right off the get-go, seem in some ways inappropriate because, back in the day when music in the 60s and 70s and 80s, it wasn't like that. You were out gigging all the time, building a name for yourself. And nowadays we have The Voice and America's Got Talent and all these different things. And it makes things a little bit easier, but yet you kind of skip a line. So I kind of want to know where you stand on that and then talk to me about the experience itself.
Yeah, so I call it fast food fame. And I too agree that it's not really that fair. I never wanted to win the show. I never wanted to be in the top 10.
Really?
Because you're signed into a contract for a really long time where they own you, and I don't typically like to sing like karaoke type stuff and just me on a stage alone without real instruments. But I used every opportunity that I had to say my band's name while I was on national television. I made it to the top 60 girls. And It was a great experience. I got a ton of shows afterwards just for dropping me, and I was on a national television thing, and that was basically what I used it for. And I got to be told by Mariah Carey that I was good, so that was rad.
Oh, that is major. Now, that's awesome, because, again, how many people get an experience like that? That is really cool, though. I think that's neat. And I like to hear people being able to get chances like that, where they do give them a platform to start out young, even younger than yourself, and go on and try to do various different things. So I think it is really cool. And congratulations on that. I mean, just participating in that alone is a big deal, obviously. Now, if you don't mind, I would like to play your other song. Is that okay that I'm playing two songs? Do you care? Because I can. Okay, are you sure? Okay. This one just caught my eye because Bridget sent me over a number of different songs, so I just picked the ones that I liked because I can do that because it's my name on the show, Mrs. Bad Journalist today. But I'm trying to make up for it. See extra songs, talking to Gerard, da-da-da-da-da. I might just actually come and see you in person. So there's some bonuses here. I picked Falling Off the Edge. So if you wouldn't mind just giving a little intro into the song, if you would, because you know your music better than I do, or I should say best. So talk to your audience a bit about this song.
This is the first song AJ and I wrote together completely and put vocals on. AJ can talk about what it means. The song is about being trapped in a fictitious relationship that doesn't really exist because you made it all up in your mind. Yeah, in there.
And you wrote it together. That's kind of cool. I like the fact that you worked together on this. This is awesome. Cool. All right. I'm going to tell you to be quiet for another 3 minutes and 50 seconds, and I'm going to play your song. Falling Off the Edge is the name, folks. and that song number 2, and just as impressive. My God. I'm telling you, mishaps, music going on, oh my God. This is like Halloween gone bad. Oh my God, yeah. This is the precursor for another wonderful night.
This is like the most.
Well, I'm glad that you're enjoying yourself. And honest to God, Bridget will tell you, her and I have had a long-standing relationship, and I've interviewed tons of her. In fact, some of her clients actually ended up in my last book, and most of the people that Bridget brings to me usually end up being my friends, or we do continued work with one another, because I have a great respect and admiration for what she does. And she does pick very top-notch clients, and that tells me a great deal about you right off the gate before I even researched you or did anything. And I do try to make this fun. I mean, nobody likes to sit with a reporter of any kind and ask the same humdrum, where are you from, what did you do, da-da-da-da-da. I want to be able to talk about being single or silliness and things like that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. You're a band. Hello.
Next time you're out in New York, you got to come to the studio and we'll do a show from in here.
I'm here to tell you that I'm going to hide. I'm probably going to hide from you from now on. That's that one show where like 3 things happened and I feel like an ass. That's what's going to happen. No, I'm kidding. The thing is, though, now you guys are primarily in New Jersey, right? So you're not in the city as often, or do you get to the city? Because that's usually what I do is I end up going to the city, obviously, because there's a lot of demands for things to do and stuff to review and all this good jazz. But how about this? I'll throw this out here. How about this? This I'm really good at. And, yes, I am really good at radio. I just screwed up today. But now I'm feeling bad, so let's do this instead. How about if you guys can find yourself a show in New York City, I will agree, because one of the things that I do besides this is I write formal reviews of film, of books. I have not done a musical review before. This would be my very first music review, written music review. And then I would send it out to all my different magazines and blogs and things like that, get you all sorts of nice exposure makeup for it. How's that sound? Because I'm feeling bad. I know. It's
that would be great.
I would love to do that. I can't do December 31st. I will not be in New York City this year for New Year's Eve. I'll be with my children in Wisconsin. So I can't do a New Year's Eve thing. But if you stay in touch with me, like on social media or whatever have you, I would be more than happy to accommodate that because I do feel bad. That's just a me thing. I feel bad. I just do.
That would be awesome.
Kick myself in the ass. Yes, it would be wonderful. Now, before I forget, we have to get the business stuff done, which is I'm going to read off a bunch of ways where folks can find you. Please correct me if I missed anything, okay? Your main website is answerinfinity.com. On Facebook, you're listed as Answer Infinity on your page. Your Instagram is at answer_infinity. Twitter handle is at Answer Infinity. You're on Cloud, Bands in Town, Reverb Nation, YouTube, iTunes, Amazon, and Last.fm. Have I missed anything?
Yep. That is all correct. We're also on Spotify.
Well, that I got right. Woo! I got like 3 things out of the whole interview. Oh, my God. Okay. There's only another thing. There's only one thing we have to do. Actually, 2 things. It is customary. I'm guessing that you've never listened to my show before. If you've listened to my show before, you know that there's 2 things that I've been doing at the end of every single show. Now, this one I feel guilty asking, but I'm going to ask anyways because it's a standard staple on my show. Everybody comes on my show gets asked this question, and there are 5 of you. So one of you better have the right answer. I'm hoping. I have this question. There are 5 people in the universe that I would probably give my leg up for to interview. And one of them I've been chasing for over a year now. A year. And I still have not interviewed him. So I know one of you is going to say that you're personal friends with the actor Michael Madsen. You're going to give me his phone number, and I can call him and say, yeah, my show.
Not me, no.
I am not, but if you want to reach somebody, I'm the guy to find him for you.
Well, I know all these publicists. I've interviewed people who have worked with him before. So, if I was a smart woman, I'd just cave in and be like, you know what, do me a favor and do this. But I just want to get it on my own. So I'm like, I'll just keep asking people. And eventually I'll just get to him. So basically you're turning me down and you don't know him. You can't help me.
The best shot we have is I do business with a guy who runs a company in London that does press for actors in London. And a lot of times when I brought names up to him, he actually knows them. So I'll ask him. It's the best I can do.
Aw, you're so sweet. Well, I'm very close. And what's frustrating is I'm about to meet I'm going to be going on a set where I'm getting to meet James Caan and John Voight. And I'm like, that's pretty high up on the food chain. If I can get to them, I should be able to get to Michael Madsen. I mean, come on. Not that he's by any means a low list. I want to clarify that in case you're listening, Michael Madsen, which you're so not. But okay. The last thing I'm going to do on my show before I humiliate myself anymore is what I always do with every show, which is to tell the listening audience what I think of you. I get to tell the people what I think of you. And that's done primarily in part because I want my listening audience to get a sense of a person who's researched you and now interviewed you. I want them to get a sense of who I believe that you are. Make sense? So that means to be quiet for like 120 seconds, and I get to rattle off. And this part is not scripted. This always comes, as I always say, it's a little mushy. It comes from my heart, and it really does come from my heart. So all of my impressions will come from there. So before I forget, which I probably will at the end of the show, so let's just do this right now. Bridget O'Brien, my friend, one of my mentors. I don't think she realizes that. We have been friends for a while now, and more importantly, we've had a business relationship that worked hand in hand with our friendship. Friendship always trumps our business relationship. But I just want you to know from me to you that I miss you very much. I appreciate the fact that you allowed your band to come on my show. They are wonderful people, and without you, this wouldn't have happened. So I love you, and thank you very much for this. Okay, now on to you people. The real deal. These are my thoughts of you. I have to tell you that I was a little apprehensive to interview a heavy metal band because it's a genre that I don't know a whole lot about, and I haven't had a whole lot of exposure to it most of my life. So honestly, I was a little nervous. I was nervous about the tone and demeanor and how things were going to go. All I saw was a limited screen, press kits. I got a chance to dig into you, of course, and I tried 50 ways sideways to find a bunch of things out about you that might be interesting and out of the ordinary. And this is what I'll tell you. Each one of you seems to come across with a very unique personality, which brings a certain, you resonate, all of you, the same kind of energy, which I find rather interesting. You all have very high energy levels. You're all, I'm betting at least 3 or 4 of you are sarcastic smartasses, which always works well within the course of a band. You, from what I can see within the course of all the pictures, have a very powerful stage presence. By that I mean I can see a musician walk on stage, and sometimes the person is just standing there, and they're just standing there not making an impression. You make a very loud, very visible impression of yourself and your fellow mates. I don't know if you've noticed that in pictures and such. Your music almost reminds me of something similar to, it's got a, what I call tunnel triumph sound to it. What that means is that it almost sounds like it's within the course of a tunnel, but you have these excellent acoustics that mix very well with the sound of the voice. And whoever it is that's doing that singing, I don't care who it is and when it is, it's amazing. And when you combine the sounds, you have some amazing players in your band. And most importantly, I love that age dynamic. It's absolutely amazing to me. Across the board, you're taking a little bit of young, you're taking a little bit of maturity, you're adding in both. And what that final result to me brings is an evening of electricity, plain and simple. I'm excited to get a chance to come see you because you're probably one of only 3 heavy metal bands I'll ever see in my lifetime. I'm excited at the opportunity of doing, yes, I'm excited just to get to do the review, honestly, because I do feel badly. I think you guys are terrific. I think that for a New Jersey band, I think it's pretty impressive that you're going out with that kind of music. You're adding your own jazz fusion, as you call it. And I think it's going to be the chemistry for something classic. People are going to remember you, not only because you're distinctive in personality, but you're distinctive in presentation and sound. That's very important as well. Know that my door is always open, as it is to all of my past people. I hope that you'll come back again. I hope that you'll come back to promote yourself. And most importantly, I hope you stay present in my life. I think I could be a wonderful source of promotion for you. And I'm just a cool chick to hang out with. You got Bridget. She knows. So thank you. Okay. Thank you very much for taking the time. Really?
It'll be good. We'll talk to you when the record's out. Yeah, this was great time. Yeah, we so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, they don't hate me. That's wonderful. Yay! Okay, now you can get the hell off my show because I got to make like 8 pounds of food tonight. I got a bunch of stuff to do. But no, thank you guys so much.
Ready.
And just to let you guys, before I forget, about 2 hours from now, the show is going to be archived. So when it comes to your show page and all the other places, wait about 2 hours or so, and then you can turn around and copy it and put it up and all that good jazz, and everybody will be able to hear it. But like I said, it'll be just a couple hours, and I'll make sure that it gets posted up as well. Definitely. All right, you guys are free to go, and I'll wrap it up. Thanks again for everything.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Have a good night. Well, folks, that was Answer Infinity. I have to say, yeah, well, I'm not going to beat myself too much about it. I mean, obviously, of course, everybody has their off days, and I really did try to be prepared. So one more time, name of the band is called Answer Infinity. You heard their details and information as it relates to New Year's Eve performance. I'm sure that they'll keep me abreast of anything else that comes up. One more time, they are on Reverb Nation, Bands in Town, SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, Amazon, Last.fm. Their Twitter is @AnswerInfinity. Their Instagram is @answer_infinity. Facebook page, again, same band name, Answer Infinity, and the website being answerinfinity.com. Obviously, you heard me going on and on about Bridget O'Brien. If you want to get a hold of her and you are not in New York City, she does handle clients from all over the place. And most importantly, when I say she handles them hands-on, and sometimes it worries me. But she's a hell of a girl, and she's great at what she does. So Bridget O'Brien PR and Events is the website if you want to look her up. And, well, you heard what I said, girl. Thank you so much. I want to remind everybody that my next performance, and hopefully I'll get it right, will be on the 25th. I have the event this weekend, and we're having Carmine Carradona on the show. I'm so excited about this because he is an actor, he's a producer, he's a director, and he's a New Yorker. And, of course, we all know how much I love my New York people. So I'm off to make about 85 pounds of food for this event this weekend. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Again, try to get out to the Wisconsin show this weekend. One more time, it's the Wisconsin Antique and Vintage Show, 22nd and 23rd, Saturday 9 to 4, Sunday 9 to 3, $5 entry charge, address 6000 West Ryan Road. Thanks again for listening, folks, and I'll talk to you next week.
What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. By singing dog. By goal.
I pronounce you.
By wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really? Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figure it out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. By singing dog. By goal.
I pronounce you.
By wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really? Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figure it out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.